Hey guys, welcome to Boxing Squared for boxing news and views from around the internet. The heavyweight comeback of Dave Allen is officially in the books, and he started with a win, getting a first round stoppage at a Fight Zone event in Malta at the Hilton Hotel. He was facing Michael Bassett. So this is the first time that Allen's been back in the ring in a year. So his comeback in the past couple of years to the sport been quite stop-start, more stop than anything. And he spoke in the post-fight interview about wanting consistency, but we'll come to that. So we'll get to the action proper because there's not too much to cover. In fact, Dave Allen probably did Michael Bassett a big favor in stepping off when he could have really put the hurt on when Bassett was unable to defend himself. Come to that in a moment, but bell rings. Allen charges at Bassett, and first punch of the fight, looping right hand, it finds the target, and he follows up with a number of other looping right hands immediately after, and he continues to find the target, but Bassett survives, and there's a bit of a lull in the action and a little bit of back and forth, nothing major, but eventually Allen manages to put him back in a corner and just starts unloading these looping right hands again. He mixes in a left to the body as well, and then the next looping right hand, it really stuns Bassett. He's basically held up by the rope, seemingly unable to defend himself, and the referee doesn't do anything. Dave Allen doesn't throw any punches. In fact, he starts to back off, and the referee still doesn't do anything. Bassett also seems to gesture that he can no longer continue. So a towel starts to get thrown at the same time that the referee ultimately goes, yeah, well, this fight can't continue. And actually after the fight, Allen said the referee, he didn't think he really did a good job there. And I agree, because Bassett, if he'd have taken any more punches, could have been seriously hurt. He was unable to defend himself and looked pretty out of it for a moment. So it was what it was, you know, a comeback opponent after a year out of the ring, tune-up, and Allen spoke about the what next, but he was a little bit reluctant to put names for potential fights in the what next. And that's in contrast to ahead of this fight, he talked about needing a good win and needing to look good to get himself back in the conversation for fights with the likes of Fabio Wardley and Joseph Parker. So they were a couple of fighters he named ahead of this fight, but didn't want to say any names after this fight. But he said, you know, look, we could be jumping into big fights, but we need to put up a plan together. But he spoke about wanting consistency. And I guess for Dave Allen, who's never really had a consistent routine with training, and so he's spoken about being erratic and making decisions on the fly, and he needs consistency. And he said he's been getting that, especially with his training. And he brought in his, I think, strength and fitness coach, or not sure of the exact title, a guy called John, who he's really said has really got his training back on track, especially the cardio element, which he said he's enjoying for the first time since he was a kid. So, and that's obviously something Allen's avoided in the past, hasn't put in road work, hasn't done stuff that would have given him a better shot at the sort of level he was fighting at previously. But he did, you know, sort of say about his promoter, Dennis Hobson, who he started his career with and has now come back to, that he said, Dennis can get me where I need to go. And he spoke about wanting a few days off, but he wasn't going to mention names, and he's just enjoying his training and fitness right now. Dennis Hobson, he was brought in, and he did speak about Dave Allen as said he is a guy who can be a top 10 heavyweight. Well, initially he said he is a top 10 heavyweight, and then he slightly sort of changed to say he's got the potential to be one. I think maybe that's over-egging the situation. Dave Allen wasn't even a top 10 or top 20 when he was fighting previously, when he was at his, what I guess you might say, so-called peak or so. He's a guy who'd been operating somewhere between top 20 and top 40, in my opinion. But he spoke about Dave Allen being a great commodity for Fight Zone, and this is where the fight was on, the platform. And I guess this is one of the things now I was thinking about when he was saying this commodity for us, all this sort of thing. There's been the talk about Dave Allen maybe going to face guys like a Wardley or a Parker, or, you know, something like that. But that would not be on Fight Zone. So you've got to have a bit of a push and pull about how much value can Fight Zone and Dennis Hobson get out of Dave Allen if ultimately he's going to be farmed off to be, on someone else's show? Could be a big card. Maybe, say, if it was Fabio Wardley, would that be on the Anthony Joshua card? It's looking unlikely at this point. That's only about a month away. But, you know what I mean, that ultimately he's probably not going to be fighting on Fight Zone for too long before he gets farmed out. And I'm sure Dennis Hobson wants to extract as much value out of Allen as he can while he does have him fighting for Fight Zone. I mean, I signed up just to watch the Dave Allen fight, so I'm sure there would have been other people. Dave Allen will bring eyeballs and, as a result, some subscribers and additional revenue to the Fight Zone platform, which, let's face it, is effectively small hall type shows, club level shows, and a lot of the fights are generally not that interesting to the casual boxing fan. But Allen does have a bit of pull. It's probably diminished from what it was, but people are still interested in Dave Allen to some extent. Maybe not like it was, but he still has a little bit of intrigue about him. But I do think once he steps up to a certain level, he is going to get beaten, but it's probably going to be for a half-decent payday. And given he's also a new father, he's got a family to think about, and he probably wants to, get 1 or 2 decent paydays before he does clock out of the sport for good. I do think at some point maybe Fabio Wardley will be someone that he'll face. It seems to be that with Wardley and his career, they're moving at a certain pace, and they're trying to backfill the experience in the gym to make sure that he's ready once he steps up to more of a fringe world level. Dave Allen is still that sort of gatekeeper level guy, tough, durable, but ultimately if you've got some good skills and you can box a bit, you should at a certain level be able to beat him pretty comfortably, and especially if you're a guy that's got designs on going to the world level. What do you make of the fight, the performance, the comments? Dave Allen returns. Drop a comment loud and often. Hit like, hit subscribe, follow me on Twitter. Boxing_squared. I'm out.